Notes Out Connection. Welcome back to Dirty War Wrestling Above Replacement. I'm JT. Joining me as always is my good buddy Marcus, and this podcast is simulcast audio on our most podcast applications under Notes Out Connection, except for those NWO B teams over at Spotify. Even the B team is better. They got cooler songs. And on video on our YouTube channel.
New world order.
On our YouTube channel under Notes Out Connection. It's WrestleMania season, so that means we are cooking with content here, buddy. Tons of WrestleMania coverage for this year's show coming up, plus some old school lists and different breakdowns and projects. And this one kind of ties in too. We're officially wrapping up No 95, I guess. That was over a while ago, but this is kind of the coda of it. And we are covering tonight WrestleMania 12 on our show. And of course, like we said, it's pretty fitting that it's WrestleMania season. What's also fitting is a great Patreon you should subscribe to, and that is Final Wrestling Place. That is Marcus and our producer, not the tool man, Tim Taylor. Great content coming at you constantly over there, including Marcus's Opportunity Corner emails, which you can subscribe to and profit off of along the way. And check it out and do some great work. So, Marcus, I mentioned WrestleMania 12. That means for us, it is the end of another season here on WAR. Can you tell us what that means, though?
Yeah, so with WAR, we start with our season. We start with the pay-per-view that is right after a WrestleMania, and we go event by event, pay-per-view by pay-per-view, all the way up to that season's WrestleMania. So we started with the first In Your House season with 1995, and we're concluding with WrestleMania 12 here in March 1996.
And this is our 16th season that we'll be completing here tonight. Wow. Pretty crazy. So we've made a lot of progress. We'll be starting a new season in 2 weeks. Which will be a lot of fun. And of course, as part of wrapping up WrestleMania tonight, we'll also be doing our year-end awards. And then we'll reveal where out of the 16 seasons we've done that this season ranks as a whole based on War Score. And then we'll jump through time to a brand new season. We don't go chronologically. We kind of bounce around and mix things up. I think it's been good to do it that way too, because you break the where you are, and I think it helps us keep perspective as we rank. I think if we were just building through time, we'd get attached to certain areas, and this, I think it would prevent us from really scoring these as their own unique seasons. So I think the way we do it is pretty good.
And I don't think it hurts any one season. If anything, it gives everybody the chance to be on an equal playing field.
Agree. All right, so we got rules on the show because there's a lot of category statistics and whatnot. So let's throw it over to our producer, not the tool man, Tim Taylor, and he will review the rules for you and for us.
Welcome to WWE WAR. I'm producer Tim. JT and Marcus have taken on the noble task of finding the true answer to the age-old question wrestling fans have debated for years. What is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time? To find the answer, WAR looks to explore each and every pay-per-view using a plus-minus scale at a baseline average, where things above average gain a point and things below average lose a point. WWE WAR grades on several categories including match quality, build, commentary, atmosphere, notable moments, card structure, and rewatchability. The magic number to remember for WWE WAR is 2.5. That is the baseline number for an average replacement level match. Any grade higher or lower than 2.5 raises or lowers the average WAR score. For example, if JT and Marcus give a match a 3-star rating, then that match is 0.5 points above replacement. Add all of the totals up and you get your nice round number to give you your match quality grade. There's also a bonus. If there is a match that both JT and Marcus rate 4.25 or higher, or 0.75 or lower, that match gains or loses a point for either an all-time great match or an all-time bad match. By the time we're done, we will have composed the most comprehensive list ever for WWE pay-per-views to give you the answer of what is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time. Take it away, boys.
And you, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor. WrestleMania 12, buddy. Let's get to it. March 31st, 1996.
Take that plane.
From the Arrowhead Pond at Anaheim, California. 18,853, big jump up. 13,000 people more in the building than you have. So 3 times as big. of a crowd, which is exciting for the workers. Good for them.
Yeah.
Anaheim is often like kind of shit on as a wrestling crowd. You got buffoons like Chris Colo calling them latte sippers all the time, and I do think there's some truth to it. I do think there's some times where they're a little bit subdued, but I don't know if this is one of those nights. I think they kind of show up for this show, and I think this show is a very interesting one. It's coming off WrestleMania 11, which was loaded with celebrities, very weak roster in ring, and they went like full 180 for this show, where they went all in on the wrestling, focusing on the next generation of superstars, dumbing down, getting rid of a lot of the gimmicks, no celebrities at all, I think, for the first time. So it's like a very focused show on like our new direction as a promotion and where we want it to be. And I remember they even made a talking point like in like PWI, I think there's an article about it, and even their own magazine, how they were like some fake interview of Vince saying we're getting back to basics and this and that. Like, so I think it was a concerted effort to really focus around the wrestlers as stars, which is funny because they're in freaking Hollywood. So like you would think this would be the Mania with all the stars, or Hartford, but it kind of goes the other way around. Like Connecticut, I guess, is the Hollywood of the East, where they have all the celebrities there, but they're all D level, of course. So again, fitting for Connecticut. But in Hollywood, we have no movie star except for one who's active in the ring. So why don't we go ahead and dive in? We do have 2 free-for-all matches on this evening, and it's a short card because there's only 6 matches, really 5, and it's due to the stipulation of the main event. But this is like the first real important free-for-all that they do. Like before this, it always been the preview shows. Then they started doing this free-for-all. The Rumble had an important match. In Your House 6 was whatever, it was Jake's first match back in the ring in a singles match. But this was like a really hyped part of this show. So they have the finals of the tag team tournament to determine our new champions. The titles have been vacated when the Smoking Guns, was this when Billy got hurt or what? I think it was one of them got hurt, I think, and they had to vacate the title. So they have a tournament across superstars. It started in February 24th. The Body Donnas defeated the Bushwhackers, 1996 Bushwhackers. Razor Ramon and Savio Vega defeated 1-2-3 Kid and Tatanka. Owen Hart and British Bulldog defeated Barry Horowitz and Akushi. And the Godwins knocked off a new team called the New Rockers, Marginetti and Leaf Cassidy. Then the Body Donnas go on to defeat Savio Vega, but Razor Ramon was out due to injury, and his replacement was Steve Austin. It was the former ringmaster, now rechristened Stone Cold Steve Austin. And DiBiase basically, like, I think he like proposes to Savio, like he wants some gold, like wants to team up with this guy. And then Austin basically screws him over in the match and walks out, and Savio loses. So the Body Donnas advance to the finals, and then the Guns defeat Owen Hart and the Bulldog. I mean, the Godwins. I don't remember. I'm sure there was some nonsense there that happened. Yoko or something was probably involved. And that sets up our finals here, where the Body Donnas defeat the Godwins to win the tag team titles. Again, we've talked about Sunny becoming more sexualized since January. And this is a big one here where they do. She's got the skirt on. She flashes Phineas. This starts a whole angle where he falls in love with her. That carries on through a lot of 96. And the Donnas win their first tag team titles. We also had the payoff to the Billionaire Ted storyline as the Huckster fights the Nacho Man, and really maybe the first cinematic match in wrestling WWF history, where this is all obviously pre-taped. It's these 2 old fogies cosplaying, and they have just a nonsense comedic match. It pays off the months of skits that they've been doing since it started on January 1st, mocking WCW, Ted Turner, Gene Okerlund, Savage Hogan, Larry King, all that shit. And I mean, it's funny enough. They do a Mystery Science Theater style with silhouettes of Vince and the King doing like commentary, mocking everything. They got a bunch of sound effects, and I think both guys die in the end or something. So
I've never seen it.
Yeah. Really? You've never seen it?
I've never seen it. It's just one of those things I've never seen.
Oh, you should watch it. It's pretty funny. Like, I mean, it's not funny, but it's like, it's not bad for all that shit. It's worth watching at least once. Vince and King are pretty funny, but you could tell everyone was done with it by the end. Like the skits got very mean by the end. And it was funny for a bit, but it definitely lost its steam. But the match, the guy's like so hammy that it's kind of funny watching them out there stumbling around. So again, it was a well-built free-for-all.
I know the free-for-all tag title match was on like the Sunny Coliseum home video.
Yeah.
Like the comp that they did or whatever. So I watched that match a lot because that tape
that's not the Sunny comp you usually watch.
No, that's a different one. That's a different one now. That one wouldn't turn up for another 10 years.
Yeah, this I obviously taped this and I ordered it live. So on my VHS tape I have of the show, I have the full free-for-all. So I've definitely seen the Huckster match a lot. Just some rewatch on the show. So
I think
anyway,
as a kid, I felt betrayed because they were like, "Oh, it's going to be at WrestleMania. It's going to be at WrestleMania," and then
oh, yeah,
like I
no
get the
shit.
tape from my neighbor, and the match is nowhere on there, and I'm like, "Did this just get like Bigelow Kamala? Like, what happened?"
This has to be yeah, no. Oh, yeah, it looks like it's on YouTube. It's only a
Okay,
few minutes.
I will, I
Yeah,
will,
it's just like in
I will remedy
it,
that.
they do it like back, like I don't know if it's in the loading dock or something. Like, and like I said, they have like silhouettes of Vincent King like doing it, commentary, just ripping on it the whole time. So, all
Mhm.
right, so there's that. Let's get to the show itself. We open with a big 6-man tag. British Bulldog, Owen Hart, and Vader defeat Ahmed Johnson, Jake Roberts, and Yokozuna. This was supposed to be Vader versus Yokozuna 1-on-1. Vader had injured his shoulder. I think it was hurt coming in, and
Mhm.
he kind of didn't reveal it till later. So he goes on the shelf pretty quick. That's why they do the suspension angle following the Rumble. And they didn't think I don't think they thought he was like quite ready for a singles match at Mania. So they do this, which I actually think was a better idea. I think Vader Yoko probably would have been messy. And it gets a bunch of guys on the card that may not have been there. Like Ahmed, we talked about him last week or last episode. He deserves like a little bit of spotlight. I think it's cool to give Jake a WrestleMania match, his first since WrestleMania 8. And Bulldog and Owen deserve to be on WrestleMania. Like they've been stalwarts throughout the season. So I think it was a good place for them. There's also a stipulation if the faces won, Yoko got 5 minutes in the ring with Cornette. And they even do a really cool promo, I think the week before on Raw, where they're in an empty arena and they have like a balloon, or maybe they're in Superstars. It might have been on Superstars. There was like a balloon dummy of Cornette, and Yoko squashes it with a bonsai drop or whatever to send a message. So it makes you think it's one of those classic like Cornette promises, and you figure they're going to pay it off, but no, the heels win. So Yoko doesn't get the 5 minutes with Cornette. So it's a good tease. Of course, I believe Vader gets the win, but I think this is a pretty fun opener. I went 3.25. It's got some good energy, some good pace, and I actually think like for a long time it was one of the better WrestleMania opening matches.
Yeah, I mean, go figure. You get Owen and Bulldog in a tag match here. They pick up the energy. Kind of just play the hits. I went 3 here, and looking at the card, this is also great matchmaking because it does probably combine another match or two on the card into this one, and it gets I think our next match on the show, Savio Vega and Austin.
Mhm.
Without this being a 6-man, I don't think that match
Right, you're probably gonna do
makes
something with
the Mania
Bulldog and
card.
Owen. You're not gonna have
Yeah.
them off the show. Uh, and it gets Ahmed on there, it gets Jake on there. Like I do think it's cool to
Mhm.
see Jake in there. And I'm not kind of a fan of the Jake return in '96. Like I don't know, there's ups and downs to it, but I actually thought it was a good nostalgia run. And they don't ever present him as like a big threat, so it's not like, oh look, we're new generation using these old guys again as they're mocking Huckster and Nacho Man. Jake's there to put guys over. He's still super over in the ring, and he's presented as a good like as a legend, but
Yeah.
he's not dominating the scene. So actually, I like this little run from him. I think it is productive in the end.
Yeah, he's a pretty good innings eater here at this stage.
Agreed.
All
All
right.
right, next up.
Next up, we do have the newly christened
Well,
Stone
so
Cold.
I will pause here for 1 sec. So this is Goldust Piper Backlot Brawl is next
Mm,
before this, but
yeah.
the end of that match, they take a long break and finishes later. So we're just going to review it when it ended as a match to grade it. But that is in between these two matches. Like we do get the Backlot Brawl part of Piper Goldust. Then they drive off in the cars. Then we come back here. We'll talk about the full match after. But
No, great addition. So we get Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, still shades the ringmaster, taking on Savio Vega. I went 3. This was pretty solid. Feels like the finish is just a little mistimed. It like takes a really long time for things to play out, but it's a pretty good match. Great intensity, great strikes. Keeps up the energy. So pretty good stuff here.
all right. Yeah, and they had a little story, right? Because Austin, we talked about it. Austin screwed him in the tag tournament to set this up. They got sneaky chemistry. Like they have a good little series here in '96. Vega was also Austin's first opponent as Stone Cold on Raw, and I believe the debut of the Stunner is against him on Raw as well when he introduces that move. So they have some history together there. I think it's Savio's only singles Mania match as well. So I guess something to note there. So Austin's obviously WrestleMania debut. That's a big moment. And yeah, I like the finish where he just cracks him with $1 million belt across the back of the head and then hooks on like the $1 million dream or whatever. So it's yeah, it's a good mix. Yeah, Austin debuts the Stunner. I think it's in the King of the Ring qualifier against Savio after he gets rid of DiBiase in May. So, but I also think his first match as Stone Cold is against Savio. So, or maybe not. I don't know. He's got some like weird milestones against him all the time. So yeah. So okay, I went 275. It's a little boring in stretches, but I do think overall it's pretty well worked and hard hitting. And I'm glad they found room for it on this short card because Savio's been, up and down since he debuted, but I think Austin deserves like a single spotlight match here.
Yeah. And for as good as Waltman is, kind of looking at this card, feels like Austin kind of slides into Waltman's role on the heel side of the card, and just the intensity and the striking that Austin brings, and this is nothing against Waltman, who's incredible, but you really see Austin's greatness here, even though he's still kind of slotted into the, really solid TV worker box. Like he's an upgrade. He's an upgrade over Waltman at this period, and that's kind of crazy.
Agreed. All right, next match we have the Ultimate Warriors return. We teased it earlier against Hunter S. Helmsley. Helmsley was undefeated still, and they hyped this as mystery opponent at first. Not really, they pretty much say it's Ultimate Warriors return. But they do hype the mystery around what he's going to be, right? There's all the rumors that he's 350 pounds, that he's bald, he's out of shape. Like Lawler kind of perpetrates those throughout the night. They started teasing Warriors return in early January, that he's coming back to the company. And this is a big deal. Like, he'd been gone since 92. Historically, had a pretty bad fallout. Then he had the drug stuff at the end of 92. So they were pretty on the out. So it was pretty surprising when he came back. And again, I think there was some potential here because they needed some star power. And I don't think he's that bad in this run. It just ends abruptly with, of course, more issues with him and Vince. So there's not much to it. This is an all-time Mania moment, though. Like, it's really good. The crowd goes fucking nuts for him. He destroys Helmsley in under a minute and just kind of reestablishes himself. And, I think people conflate this as like Helmsley eating shit for the curtain call, but the curtain call is actually a month and a half after this. So it was not part of that. It's just him being a good soldier and laying down. Helmsley also has his lady of the night with him, and then a Sable. Her debut, they hype her up as they're coming out. And then we do get the debut later backstage of Marvelous Mark, soon to be Marvelous Mark, the Wild Man Mark Marrow, is an interview with Todd Pettengill. And Hunter is kind of yelling at Sable. Marrow goes to save her and gets into a fight with Helmsley backstage. And that kicks off like a year-long feud between the two of them as part of Marrow's debut. So this is all kind of wrapped up into a pretty big package, like the debut of Marrow, debut of Sable, and Return of Warrior. So it's a pretty historical, like 4-minute stretch of WrestleMania history, which is pretty funny when you look at it on paper, what it ends up being. And it is Wildman Mark Marrow, not Mark Morrow, as Todd Pettengill.
Yeah. They do the bit. I think WWF does this really well, and I wish they would get back to this, where they steal from WrestleMania 9, where you have Luger and Perfect have their match, and then Luger leaves after the match, and then Perfect stumbling backstage, and he's looking for Luger, but he runs into like Luger and Shawn, and then somehow it ends up with Shawn and Perfect brawling, and like that kickstarts like their feud. So immediately after WrestleMania, like you have something for this your top mid card heel and your top upper mid card babyface. They kind of do that here, and I always like when they do that. Feel like they usually hit it out of the park. Warrior here, he is fascinating. Like how does Warrior Man fit into, you can feel the change starting to bubble even just a little bit here, where the 1990, 91, 92 act isn't exactly going to cut it. I wish we would have got to see what it looks like with Vince's containment on top. When we get to see it in WCW, we see how quickly it gets off the rails. But with Vince's containment, I do wonder what it would have looked like. I think
there's some cool match potential in there. Like him and Vader could have been a fun match that we don't really get. I'm sorry, go ahead. You cut out for a sec. Him and who?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that's the program they should have ran. I think they should have ran him and Vader.
I think they were going to. Like, I do think when you look at, when Sid comes in or essentially replace him, I'm assuming most of what Sid does is what they kind of had mapped out for Warrior. I would assume like he was going to fight Vader probably for the belt at Survivor Series, maybe. Like, it feels like maybe that's where things, when they mapped it all out, Vader wins the belt at SummerSlam and loses to Warrior Survivor Series. Like, I'm guessing that's kind of the loose plan when he came back. I would assume that's how they had sketched it. And then who knows going into Mania what that looks like. But and even Warrior Sean, if the Warrior's a heel, it could have been kind of cool. So I do think there's some different stuff that they could have done in there, but we just don't see it. So I went to I don't know. These are always hard to grade. It's a squash, but it's historical, so I gave it a little bump. I don't know. Like the hate wasn't quite there for Helmsley yet, so I don't think the catharsis is all hindsight, to see him get crushed.
Yeah. 3.5 for me. It's perfectly executed. Even without the Helmsley hate, it's good energy. It's not quite because Helmsley doesn't mean to the company what Honky Tonk Man does in '88. But it's the same thing. So it's the poor man's version of that. But even the poor man's version, I think, is highly entertaining on a card that you need matchup and finish style variety on any big show, and this delivers the quick knockout.
Agreed.
All right, match number 4. Do you want to? Is the brawl here or after this one?
It's after this. It's before
after
the
this
main
one.
event.
Okay. All right. So match 4, the heavily hyped semi-main event of Diesel taking on the Undertaker. I went 4. I'm really surprised I didn't go higher because I really do love this match. I would have swore I would have went 4.25 on it, but
I think 4 is like an overshot. I still think when you look at it on paper,
yeah,
what Undertaker had done, like prior to this, and we just like ripped apart his Rumble match, and like he had never had anything on in ring close to this, honestly.
No.
And Diesel's been up and down. Like he's good with guys like Brett, but he's bad with others. And Sean, he's good with other guys. He's not quite there. So I think going in, you're just kind of hope maybe you get some Haas spectacle out of it. I think if it would have hit like 2 3/4, 3, you're feeling good. So I think even 4 for this is like,
oh yeah, no, it definitely blows what Taker's done out of the water to this point. Trying to think, outside of like house show stuff, like we have the match with Brett. I'm trying to think what Undertaker's best stuff is, and maybe the casket match with Yoko at Rumble '94.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much beyond that for sure.
Yeah. So, and then for Nash, he's mostly a guy that can follow somebody really well. Sean, Brett. But here, I mean, this is both guys step in step. Doesn't look like anybody's leading one way or another. Just 2 guys out there looking to tear the house down and deliver on a really well built feud. So 4 for me.
Yeah, it's a cool match. The storyline was very good. I mean, it started really in like December when they kind of got each other's face, and at the Rumble it escalated. Then in 6, we saw what happened when Undertaker costing Diesel the title. Then they do the cool stuff on Raw, where Taker does they put the fake Diesel in the casket. They love fake Diesels, huh? The first fake Diesel in the casket, and then you get the famous Diesel promo. He comes out, "I'm not afraid of the dark," So there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
In there in the build, and it's Diesel's last Mania match, and we didn't know. I think word was starting to leak that him and Hall may be gone, like going into this show. So I think it was starting to be known that they were talking to WCW, but he goes out and delivers. It doesn't stop them from having a classic. And Taker beats him clean with the Tombstone, which is like a big win over Diesel when you look at his past year and what he's done. So this is a great match. It holds up. It's Undertaker's first great Mania match. Not the last time he'll surprise people at Mania, but the first for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely known within the company that Nash is leaving because infamously Nash has said when he told Vince he wasn't resigning, Vince is like, I need you to put over, Brett, Sean, Taker, and then Warrior. Warrior's where he draws the line.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Yeah.
All right. So now we get to our backlot brawl / in-ring brawl. Roddy Piper taking on Goldust. This is supposed to be Ramon and Goldust and their blow-off angle. They had their big fight on Raw in the snow, and then Ramon gets popped for a drug test. In reality, things are spiraling backstage. Talking to WCW, and they definitely, and there were rumors too that he didn't want to fight with Goldust. He was embarrassed. He said his kids were getting busted up at school for some of the stuff that was going on. He felt uncomfortable. So he's out. Piper steps in. They have a really good thing on Raw where they go face to face, and then Goldust is the fake Piper's Pit with the mannequin. He's wearing the kilt, playing the bagpipes. So that was all really good. And the first part of this match, I think, is great. The fight backstage in the back lot is really well done. They got some stage hands out there. They make it seem like it's some onlookers. And they really beat the shit out of each other. You get the spot where Piper busts his hand, punching Goldust. It's a nasty punch. Getting hit by the car, the baseball bat, even the hose is like pretty cool looking when he splashes it with the hose and he's rolling all over the place. So this is like a really good fight. Like, and it felt gritty. It felt real. And I wish it just kind of ended here because, they want to do the OJ gag. And I know they wanted to have him in front of the audience, which is fine. They come back out. They do the OJ stuff. They show the car chase. They got Piper on the phone. They come roaring back into the arena, back into the ring, and Piper chases him around. Then we get kind of silly where he strips his outfit off. He's got lingerie underneath. He grabs his balls, and then Goldust runs away. So I don't know. Like, he is the Intercontinental Champion. Like, I didn't know if we needed to fully emasculate him to that point. Like, I think just this looked badass in the backstage, and I think you could have him come out briefly. Piper just runs him off and stands tall in the ring, or just comes out and celebrates even. So I just think that drags it down for me. No pun intended. Drags it down a little for me in the end. But the backstage stuff is really, really good. I think it's like high level stuff for them.
Yeah. The strikes are brutal. You talked about them. That's why I went 3.5 on this one. I had to give some extra love to those strikes. They're brutal. The bat shots. Everything in this match is really stiff, really brutal. And maybe a little bit is in retrospect. I always took like the what's that famous store out in Hollywood? That's like the laundry store. I can't remember, but like that's why I always took it as like, oh, Goldust went there earlier in the day. Like
Fredericks of Hollywood.
Thank you. I know it wasn't Frankie. Fredericks of Hollywood. So I'm like, oh, well, like, is that kind of plays into the Hollywood theme a little bit. Maybe that's just headcanon. But yeah, 3.5 is, two pros going out there and delivering a brutal match, and it's tough to do a finish.
As androgynous, so like, I get it. I don't know. I just feel like one step too far.
Yeah, and it's tough to do a finish because you don't want to beat Goldust. He's your Intercontinental Champion. You don't want to put the belt on Piper. He's the, was the acting president. So like kind of the interim president. So like,
I just don't.
How do you get out of doing a finish?
Back. You can still do the car chase. Piper arrives and he walks to the ring holding Goldust's wig and maybe his outfit, and he holds it up and he parades around the ring. Like, you could have done that without the fight in the ring, or just do the fight. He leaves, just don't do the lingerie. Like, I think that would have been fine too. It just felt like it was like the diaper last month. It was like one thing too much that we didn't really need, especially with this guy being presented as your IC champion. Like, I don't know. It felt like one thing too many. And especially too, like, Piper's pretty late in homophobia that he expresses a lot in promo. Like, it just felt like more than we needed, Yeah. All right, main event. Let's get to it.
Here we go. Main event is the Iron Man match. Bret Hart, successfully defends the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Shawn Michaels. They go 60 minutes. There's not a winner. Bret Hart retains. I went 4.25 on this. I do have it as a classic, a lower end all-timer. It's an incredible challenge to go out there for an hour and have just a wrestling match and add to it. Now it's at WrestleMania and it's the main event, and you got, sold out house and, millions watching on pay-per-view and all that good stuff. A really tough task, and I don't think the match is the greatest of all time or anything like that, but I do think it's an all-timer. Both guys really deliver. It's a different match style. Bret kind of dips back into the 92 Dory Funk style Mr. Hitman that we saw then. Dials into that a little bit for this match, and I really like the every 13 to 15 minutes there's a big spot that happens to kind of break the match up into sections, and it works out really well because once they get down to those final 5 minutes, I think the crowd's pretty red hot and comes to a fever pitch with Shawn sitting in the sharpshooter.
Yeah, we have the same grade, 4.25. So I do think it's all time. I think it's both underrated and overrated. Like, it's overrated by the company as like a name match you think of, and they, for a long time it was on their top of their list of greatest WrestleMania match ever and all that. But then I think it went the other way, where everyone's like, oh, it's boring, it's plotting, nothing happens. But I do think there's a good story in there, and I do think it's a real big undertaking for them to take on. Like I think it was a ballsy match to do at WrestleMania, especially with the way they were going to do it with no falls. And I've always maintained, I think what hurts the match is a stipulation. I think if Piper just said, we're going to have this match go on at this point, because we know these guys are going to give it their all. I'm going to slap an hour-long time limit on it, so they got plenty of time to go out there and do what they got to do. And you just have a match with no Iron Man stipulation, so you're not watching the clock, you're not counting that there's no falls, and I think they can build it a different way versus some of the spots that do feel like they're filling time because they have to go the hour. And I think if you don't know they're going the hour, like it doesn't feel as dramatic that they're going the hour. And then you can still, if you want to protect Brett, you can still do a draw, but then Piper or Gorilla come out, whoever, and says, hey, there's no draws at WrestleMania. We're going overtime. Like what, we're extending the match. And if you still want to protect Brett and give him the out, right? But that way you go a more organic hour. And I think they fixed that with Shawn and Cena in 2007, where the match just goes an hour. And I think it feels more natural that way. Versus here where you're clock watching and they're like, oh, okay, you get to 45 minutes. Like, all right, now they're going the whole way. Like, it's obvious at that point you're not getting a fall till the end once you get that far into the match. But again, I think they get credit for being as good as it is, given the constraints that are around it. The build, we'll talk about in a minute, but the build's really good. The moment's really good. The entrance is great. You get some history around it. So again, I think it's both underrated and overrated. 4.25 feels right to me because I think it deserves recognition as an all-time match, but to me, it's not one of the best all-time matches of all time.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that gives us a total in-ring war score, 575. So that's a pretty good show. That is again, I don't think this show is looked at often as like a great in-ring WrestleMania, but for us, it's pretty strong in the ring. So, and again, the short card helps, and that's been a key piece of the season for a lot of shows. Like the tight card definitely helps with not having the bloating around it. All right, build time. I will say going in, we said it last episode, the show is well built and a lot of stuff happens. So be ready. We have a point for Roddy Piper. I'm sorry, I lied. We have 3 points. So Roddy Piper making Michaels and Hart and Iron Man. That leads to the wonderful build. We get the videos focused on pure sports. Each get a big final warm-up match on Raw that they win heading into the show. There's an all-time main event set up for them. You get, a little bit, Brett's kind of bitched a little bit. That made him look kind of old because he's running in Calgary on the snow and the ice, and he's kind of jogging where Shawn is like, sweating in the gym, hanging upside down, kind of doing like calisthenics and almost doing like CrossFit before CrossFit, in the gym.
Yeah.
And they're focusing on him almost like this is the first time I feel like they really lean into Shawn being from San Antonio, because they bring in Jose Lothario and they almost make it like he's like a luchador in the build to this. Like he, wrestles like this Mexican style or whatever, which they hadn't really leaned into before for him. So the build is really just really well done. It's pretty iconic for Mania build. So 3 points for that. Point for Yoko and Vader. Balloons to the 6-man war. You get the cornet shot in the line. Like I said, you get them squashing the dummy. Goldust baits Piper into the match. Piper promises to make a man out of him. We get the fake Piper's Pit. 3 points. It has to be, even though it doesn't build the match necessarily. Steve Austin dumps the ringmaster name, becomes Stone Cold Steve Austin, screws over Savio. Yeah. Starts the don't trust anybody angle pretty much out of the gate. So all-timer. Point for the Battle of Mind Games between Diesel and Undertaker. We covered that earlier. Point for the huge announcement of Warriors return in January. They've hyped this for a while. And then a point for Diesel turning on Shawn Michaels at MSG. The weekend before the show, they have a big tag match at MSG. It's Shawn and Diesel against Undertaker and Brett. And after the match, Diesel smacks Shawn with a chair. And we talked about this last episode where a lot of times they would set up the challenger going into Mania. And that's what they do here by Diesel attacking Shawn, setting him up for potential match with Shawn coming on the show.
Yeah, and that MSG show is huge. That one's the first sellout at MSG in what, like 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. Like
I think since like 92, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, absolute huge show. And then real quick, because we're not going to be able to talk about them anymore this season since the season's over. But incredible urgency by Austin. Just to feel like this ringmaster thing is already dead in the water on arrival.
Right. Yeah,
and I gotta switch it up. Yeah, and he wasn't going to take any chances, and it just shows, his genius, the urgency, his veteran instincts. You don't see this kind of urgency from people most of the time. You see people, peter out over six months, a year, whatever, and then it's time.
We talked about last episode. Duke Drosy was around for like 2 years and did nothing.
Yeah,
in the gimmick, and it's like Austin's like, I'm not going to be Holly or Drosy and these guys that are just saddled with these shit gimmicks for years at a time.
Yeah. All right, let's check out the cons for event build. We've got Billionaire Ted skits limp into WrestleMania, get weirder, more personal in the final weeks. Get me.
Yeah, well, they call for like the FTC to investigate monopoly charges against Ted Turner. Like it gets the AOL deal or something. It's very weird. It gets very bizarre.
Yeah, almost booking their own future with the monopoly charges. We get Ramon gets suspended, kills a hot Goldust feud, dead in the water, and essentially ends his WWF run. We had -2 there. Austin and Vega is a team in the tournament, and then Austin costs them for no reason. Weird approach to kickstart that feud.
We talked about it being seminal for the Austin character, but it did come out of left field completely to have them together.
Yeah. Despite a lack of excitement, no build for Warrior's return match. We get Hart claims that he was made to look old and lame in the workout video as part of the build, which he was. He's getting stretched by his old man. Sean's upside down doing push-ups. And then Kid also suspended. Big secondary character and good match guy completely gone from the show.
Yeah, he comes back briefly after this for a little bit before he leaves for WCW. Well, he gets hurt again, I think, and then he goes to WCW. All right, so build pretty well built Mania. Overall, some historical stuff. Give it a 4. Solid. Commentary, it is Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler all night. We get a point for Vince hyping Ahmed Johnson as a future star. A point for him doing a good job meeting the tone of the backlot brawl. Good job on the speculation on Warriors rumors. What conditionally, like it leads into the internet chatter, right? Is he fat? Is he out of shape? Is he lost his hair? Is he still a specimen? Like Lawler really kind of is the voice of like the questioning fan on that. Point for Vince going God mode down the stretch of the Iron Man for Sean's big win. Like he's, he has to have Vince peak every now and then for these big angles, and he's pure God McMahon on this one. A point for Vince and Lawler doing a fine job filling the space, working through the Iron Man strategy. And a point for recapping the build of Diesel Taker while the match is playing out, how it tied into the happenings. They do a nice job in that match. They've built pretty good chemistry at this point, Vince and Lawler.
Yeah, this is a great show for them, I think. Let's check out the cons. We get Vince pronouncing the bra a lot. What? Vince sounds like a dope.
I honestly questioned if I didn't know how the word brawl was spelt or pronounced after this show, because he says bra so much instead of brawl that I literally I think I looked it up on like a dictionary to like make sure it was brawl and not bra, and I had been wrong my entire life because he literally says backlot bra all the time, and I'm like, is it bra? Am I wrong? But no, it's brawl. He just calls it bra for some reason.
Yeah, it's that North Carolina accent that he can never exactly shake. And then Vince sounds like a dope at the end of Austin Vega. What is he doing with that hold? What is DiBiase doing to the official? Vega's the winner. He's lifted his arm.
It was very weird.
Yeah, he's all over the place for that finish. So
well, he left it all in the
good night of commentary though.
Yeah, it was. Pronunciation issues. All right, so commentary score +4. So all right, look at these scores so far, buddy. Yeah, it's 3 for 3 so far in these categories. All right, let's get to atmosphere. It's a big one. Oof, I gotta squint. WrestleMania 12 on the mat. First time kind of makes this show stand out. Like we don't usually have markings on the mat, so that's an interesting one. A point for the crowd being really into Yoko in the opening match. Like he's pretty over. A point for the huge pop for Jake's DDT in the opening match. The Hollywood Backlot Brawl looks awesome. Feels gritty. You got some fans kind of crew watching. It was cool. It was just a perfect choice for this match. +2 for the big pop for Warrior. You get the big entrance, the lights, the pyro. Point for the Undertaker's entrance. A point for the Piper pop when he comes out later. We get the Shawn Michaels very famous zipline entrance coming down. A point for the nice touch of the pre-match ref instructions. Gorilla makes his return. He's supervising that. And we get the laying out all the rules to the Iron Man. Must be a winner. A point for Shawn's classic celebration, right? As Brett stomps away. He's in the ring on his knees, holding the belt. A point for really playing up to Hollywood. Jesus Christ, I got to zoom in on this one.
Anaheim.
The Anaheim, California, their
Anaheim.
cultural relevance win for WWF. Like they're really going on that. New iconic gear up and down the show. Bulldog and Owen look fresh. Austin's got the all black. Goldust has the pleather. Warrior and the new look with the blue. That's kind of his 96 look. Diesel with the big D on him and on the tights. And then Brett's look and Michael's iconic with the white tights and the gold. Loud rest in peace chants for Undertaker. A point for Diesel and his heat. Just has a real sense of danger and control throughout the match. And then very special WrestleMania moves. You get guys going to the top. You get high risk spots. You get some special offense, Austin and Michaels, etc. throughout there as well. So a lot going on there.
Yeah. All right. Let's see how the cons shake out for atmosphere. All right. Anaheim coming through. Let's see. Very simple set and arena. Doesn't scream WrestleMania. We get the OJ footage. It's a bit hokey and played out at this point. Get the crowd dying off during Austin Vega. Get the crowd quiet for much of Taker Diesel outside of some big spots. And then the crowd oddly not happy that the match restarts. A mix of jeers and quiet.
Yeah, I don't know if they wanted Brett. They were mad, or were they just done and they didn't want more of an, like after an hour where they kind of cooked on the match. You know, it was weird. But a very strong atmosphere for, again, I kind of teased it earlier, for a town that is often maligned from a wrestling standpoint. Like they were pretty good on this night and they had a lot to cheer about. So atmosphere score 11.
Oh, that's a big number.
I think we got another big number coming up, buddy, as we get to our notable moments. We have a +3, the full boat for the Ultimate Warrior's return. It's been gone since WrestleMania 8. It's a big moment, big deal. A point for Gorilla Monsoon returning as the president. Officially, he had been the interim president that whole time. Now he's the official president. Point for the Body Donnas winning the tag team titles. A point for the Billionaire Ted story coming to an end with Huckster and Nacho Man. We also had the return of the Slammies for the first time since 1987. I think they had done them, or was it 88? I think it's 87 and 88. So it might have been the first since 88. They did them the Friday before, and they aired it on USA. And they did this in 96 and 97. And they were actually really fun shows. There's some memorable moments and skits. And 96 has all the real famous music videos. So You Start the Fire for Brett, Tell Me a Lie for Sean, Sonny, the Sonny video. So like those are pretty famous. And they have the really fun Todd medley songs in the beginning where he does like spoof versions of real songs about the wrestlers, which is pretty good. So those Slammy shows are pretty fun. +3 for the big WrestleMania debuts. Like these aren't pay-per-view debuts, but these are major stars making WrestleMania debuts. So it was worth the full boat. You got Goldust, you got Vader, you got Helmsley, you got Austin, you got Sable even. We give her a point here in a minute though. Sable and Mark Merrill. So that's +2, one each. But those are like big three right there. Like Goldust, Vader, Helmsley, Austin. Like those are big debuts worth the 3 points. Another +3 for the Boyhood Dream Comes True, an iconic WrestleMania moment. All-time imagery and Vince call and Shawn on his knees, like with the belt, like just, I mean, epic WrestleMania moment. A point for Michael's entrance, another one. And you have like the, infamous behind the scenes of Vince doing it the day before or that morning or whatever. And then Shawn does it, that night. Point for the first ever pay-per-view Iron Man match in company history. Also a point because this is now the longest non-Royal Rumble match in pay-per-view history to this point for the WWF. So historical there. A point for Jose Lothario, kind of officially debuts, becomes Shawn Michaels' manager during this run. As lame as it is, it's a big deal for him. A first point for the first WrestleMania without any celebrities. Every Mania to this point had at least one celebrity somewhere in the crowd or on screen. Point from the pay-per-view coming out party for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Again, it's not his debut. It's just like everything about him debuts here. And then a +2 just for the entire Shawn Michaels package. Like he's made to be a top guy. The dream, the entrance, the gear, classic match, closes out as champion. So do we go over the top? I don't know. There's like 8 points all in on Shawn for this one. But like, I don't know. This is the Shawn Michaels WrestleMania. It cements him as the guy after years of teases, and it delivers pretty perfectly across the board. So it's a notable show. Like it's the kickoff of a new era. All the big attitude guys like start here, and we get another big one the next night. It's like, this is a cleansing that had started in 95 a little bit, really kind of starts, in earnest here of purging the new generation guys out that had been clogging since 92, 93, 94, 95, and kind of resetting now with these new guys that are going to bring in the next era of prosperity. And then you also have title changes. You have, Gorilla, you go big return of Warrior. It's just so much stuff happens on this show. So again, you don't think of it as like a big time WrestleMania, but man, when you look at the atmosphere and the moments, it really delivers.
Yeah, like a lot of stuff happens, like you just said, and then you cap it off with, I think, a successful crowning of Shawn. Like, it's one thing to put the title on somebody, make a world champion. It's another thing to crown somebody with the Rumble win and all the character work going into Shawn and the profile pieces and the match that he gets, that Brett gives him, and the entrance and the gear. Like, everything came together. All hands on deck over the last couple months to crown Shawn as the next guy. And, it doesn't go as good as it could have gone, but on this night in this season, that's what we're contained to. And I think they knock it out of the park. It's got to be one of the better crownings that they have, with all hands on deck.
And while this reign may not
kind of feels close to Savage.
Yeah, I think Savage is a good comp. Savage at 4. I think it's a good comp because while it doesn't feel like the reign doesn't maybe match the moment, but it does set up Shawn Michaels as a guy going like from here on out. He's like a main event, one of the greatest of all time. So like before this, he was a guy with potential to be that guy, but from here on out, he's the guy. Like he's a guy. So that counts. Like whether the title reign farts out a bit or not, like he's a made man, and it's similar to Warrior in '90 as well, where the title reign maybe doesn't. I think if Warrior just stayed around, like he'd be on the Shawn level. So I think you catch those runs every now and then where they go all in on the guy, and it makes him forever.
Yeah. All right. Let's check out our cons for notable moments. We get Piper's final WF appearance until 2003. Wow. We get Ramon pulled off WrestleMania due to the drug suspension, end of an era, and quietly fading for his character. One last forgettable appearance left, which we'll cover when we do the eventual 96-97 season. We get Goldust in lingerie. And we get Brett being pissed about the finish and direction of the WWF, leaves the company for a while, debates defecting to the WCW.
Yeah, so definitely some down moments, but overall, like super memorable show. That gives us a massive notable moment score of 19, which is going to be up there. Ooh. I mean, One Night Stand has like 70 or something, but like this is this is pretty high. This is pretty high.
Yeah, this will get you in the club.
Yeah. For sure. All right, card structure. Let's see. It's a tight card. This is a lot for card. We don't usually get this many pros for card structure. Despite being near Hollywood, it pivots and goes with a simple wrestling-based presentation after Celebrity Mania the year before. A good choice to beef up Yoko and Vader into a 6-man. Helps a potential stinker. Gives us more time and focus. First big free-for-all, for a Mania, you stack it up instead of just dark matches or throwaway. You have two matches with a big angle, payoff of another storyline. Point for the great stiff for Piper and Goldust, plays right into the setting, helps protect Piper in the ring and Goldust in the ring. Point for having Warriors' big return at Mania, boost the card with an all-time moment. They could have had him come out on Raw or something, but like building and building to here gives you an all-time Mania moment. Good way to debut Mero, kick off a top 96 feud. That was well done. A point from Mr. Perfect. I'm sorry, not Mr. Perfect. That's later. A perfect choice to give Undertaker a match with Diesel, his first quality WrestleMania opponent. He needed that badly. He had been littered with WrestleMania stinkers for the most part until now. Depleted roster, having a short WrestleMania card worked perfectly. Everything felt important. You had all the big guys on the show. No one's really missing. And you didn't have to fill out a bunch of crap matches with guys that didn't really belong there. No celebrity involvement, really kept the focus on the stars in action. And then a point for the Warrior squash, something is different, needed to freshen up the show, filled with singles matches. And a point for Taker Diesel, felt like a big semi-main. All that effort in the build paid off. This felt like a really important match.
Yeah. All right. I mean, we've seen these tight shows that are grayed out pretty well. Let's see if we have any cons for card structure. We get, while focusing on the wrestling made sense, it did make it feel a bit less special. Zero celebrity involvement, not having at least a couple hanging around, getting them involved in the show somehow. With the way things are structured, no title matches besides the main event. That stands out for this WrestleMania. We get Vega and Austin. Starts hot, but gets derailed with all the Piper Goldust cut-ins. Just due to the nature of that, you have to sit in you'd call them rest holds, but you got to sit in a lot of holds while the action on screen plays out until you can get your cue to pick up the action again. We get having Warrior wreck the pedigree. Already hasn't was an interesting choice. Yeah, because
he didn't need to do
the
it.
pedigree
Just why even have him
had
do
been
it?
very well protected.
Yeah.
I think you could just backdrop him out of the pedigree and then hit the ropes, hit the clotheslines and splash and call it a day. But it is a good pop when he gets up. Piper Goldust would have been better in one shot from the back lot into the arena with the true finish than doing the chase post match if you want some antics. If you're not going to have any falls, don't do the Iron Man. Just give it a long, grueling match. Again, I get, it's WrestleMania. You want to try the Iron Man concept on TV, see how it plays out, give a little extra oomph going into the main event. At the same time, it would have been cool just to reward your fan base for we advertise this match and it exceeded your expectations and won a full hour. And then a better location with more appreciative old school crowd may have improved the setting for the main event. I don't even know. Probably San Francisco might have been, but I don't think they're running the Cow Palace for WrestleMania.
Definitely not.
For running California, they're kind of out of places to put this match.
Yeah. I mean, I guess LA, I don't know if that's any better than Anaheim. I know they're close.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not an awful setting, but I think, yes, the old school vibes, maybe if they're in a Crockett, like a Charlotte or an Atlanta or something, could have been cool.
Yeah.
Because it does have more of those vibes to it. Or even Philly. This could have been a good Philly Mania, honestly, as well. But they weren't going back there just yet after the King of the Ring debacle. All right. So that gives us a card structure score of 4. So solid. All right. Rewatchability. Let's see where we go from here. The violence in the backlot brawl feels very real. It's hard hitting. It's super rewatchable match. Austin really drills Vega with that $1 million title in the back of the head. Like, it hits him pretty hard with it. Warrior, of course, squashing Helmsley. Very rewatchable. Diesel's entire persona, attitude, his promo backstage, like, it's just really fun. That jackknife from Diesel, followed by the tombstone to finish, is like just big Haas energy. The Michael super kick to Mark Yeaton, the timekeeper, he really cracks him with that during the match. Piper's punch to Goldust where he breaks his hand, punches him in the face is of course an all-timer. The Jack's Bone Crusher show, we've talked about like how like some of the 1990 shows or like the Hasbro shows, but this is very much the Jack's Bone Crusher figures show. Goldust, Sean with the blue, Brett, like there's definitely that era of figure that you think of with this show. Point for Diesel's entrance. I'm the shit, I'm telling you. They got it out of the network, but it's super memorable. He's coming up the steps. And then the double big boot spot never looked better than it did with Taker and Diesel. So they really delivered.
Yeah. All right. Our cons for rewatchability. While the feud is hard-hitting and intense, Piper's latent homophobia doesn't quite hold up. Definitely not. We get Mr. Perfect is awkward and terrible as an interviewer.
Oh my God.
Diesel 6 times while talking to him for 20 seconds. And
I counted how many times he said it because I remembered him saying it a lot. He's like, okay, Diesel, tell me about this, Diesel. What are you going to do when you get in the ring, Diesel? When you face the Undertaker, Diesel, what are you going to do tonight, Diesel? Like, he kept addressing him as Diesel every time he said asked him a question. It was really fucking weird. And Perfect's been like pretty good on commentary. I don't know why he's so awkward. He was like friggin' Brick from Anchorman doing these interviews. He's like staring off into space. Like, he's looking at the wrong camera, I think, at one point. It was really off.
Yeah, odd performance for him. We get Todd butchering Mero's name as
this is a big debut. It's like they're hyping this guy up and he fucking completely gets his name wrong. The Wild Man, Mark Morrow. It's like, what?
Goldust in lingerie was inconsistent with character and cheap heat. We hit an eventual tipping point in the main that does make it obvious it is going Broadway and it hurts the drama.
Yep. I think when you hit that 40, 45 minutes, somewhere in there, you start to think like, okay, like we're definitely going 60 here. Still a fairly rewatchable show with some big moments. 5. And we had one all-time match. It was Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the Iron Man. No all-time bad. And Marcus, if you're watching this and you look at these numbers littering your screen, there's no negatives and there's a bunch of high numbers. And I got to say, There's shows sometimes that pop up that make me question our system. Is it broken? Did we fuck up years ago when we came up with this science? Is there something wrong with us? Are we looking at the show the right way? And I'm like, when you look at the methodology we've put in place, we really, really value pay-per-views where stuff happens that have a good atmosphere, good entrances, memorable moments that are well built, well structured, and rewatchable. And this show hits those points. And I feel like this is usually looked at as a mid WrestleMania. But for us, it's going to be very high because it finishes with a total war score of 53.75, third all time on our list. It is a good 6 points ahead of WrestleMania 30, which I think is probably making some brains break out there. And it's just a few points behind WrestleMania 22, which is now our number one ranked WrestleMania. Did this shock you when you looked at this?
I think just putting the numbers together that it ended up at 3, I wasn't surprised that it was in the top 10 or even the top 5. But yeah, I mean, I know WrestleMania 30 is a heavy hitter for a lot of people. But it plays to our system. Like, stuff happens. Here the shorter card format is rewarded because everything's definitely above your replacement level. You get and your semi-main, and this is something that I think is pretty consistent with these shows, is when you have like 2 big matches, especially like a semi-main and a main, and they both deliver both in ring and in build and everything else. That really helps. So commentary is on point tonight. We talked about that. So card structure was really good. You get the extra variety with Piper and Goldust sprinkled in throughout the night. So I think it's a well-earned 3 spot on our list to this point.
There's not a lot of down either, like time wasting. It's like they move pretty quick through things. I think your mileage just varies on how you feel about the Iron Man. Like I think that's really what the show comes down to. Like if you're really out on the Iron Man and you don't really care about the moment behind it, like it, tanks it a bit. But not only do we care about shows where stuff happens, we care about historically important shows. That means a lot to us in this system too. And there's a lot of historical importance on the show between Michaels, Austin, Vader, Warrior, Goldust. Like there's just a lot of stuff happening on the show that's important. And it's well built. It's a very well built card. It's a tight card, and everything was put together nicely. So sometimes it just happens, man. Let's get to our top 10 here. It's brand new top 10. Our 10th show is WrestleMania 7 at 39.5.
Number 9, Vengeance 2005 with a 41.
Number 8, SummerSlam 1990 at 42.
Number 7, Royal Rumble 2002 with 44.
Number 6, Survivor Series 1995 at 44.5.
Number 5, SummerSlam 2005 with a 46.5.
Number 4, WrestleMania 30 at 47.25.
And number 3, WrestleMania 12 with a 53.75.
Number 2 is still WrestleMania 22 at 56.5.
And our number 1 show, safe for now, ECW One Night Stand 2005 with a 79.
Okay, out of the top 10 is SummerSlam 2015. So that is now down to 11th. That was replaced as we move these down. So, we have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 WrestleManias in our top 10. And according to us, this is our second best WrestleMania, third best that we've done. So, hey, the system's the system, whether you agree, disagree, think it's right or wrong. This is kind of where we're at with what we've built. All right, let's get to our year-end awards. And then we'll talk about where we're headed. So our 1995-96 MVP is Bret Hart. I mean, he's a workhorse up and down the card. He's got multiple shows with multiple matches. Yes, so a lot of them are kind of wastes of his talents, but they're still really good. Like his stuff with Lafitte, even with Lawler, Hakushi, like he's got some throwaway shit, but it all hits. He's got the classic at Survivor Series. He's got the awesome match at In Your House 5. The Lafitte and Hakushi match was very good. A memorable moment at King of the Ring. And then, yes, he tapers in early 96, but even those are fine. They're not bad. And then the classic at WrestleMania. So, I mean, he was the most consistent. Shawn obviously has a very good season, but he misses chunks of it at a time. and Diesel is just too much down early before he turns it around on the back end. So I think Brett was a pretty easy choice for the season.
Yeah, even trying to eliminate some of my Brett homerism here. I think he just runs away with it. 95, 96. He ran down all his matches, his programs, and he more than delivers in everything until he starts to taper off, in January and February. And those are just, kind of two blips on the radar. And again, they're well above replacement level. So well-earned MVP for Mr. Hitman.
And it's his third out of the 16 we've done.
So far?
No, it's his third. Yeah, he won 94, 95, and 92, 93. So, I mean, he's pretty consistent in the stretch. All right, so let's get to our next category is our Silver Slugger, which is the best average match grade. And that is Shawn Michaels at a 375. I think you have to be in, what do we say, like at least a third of the shows, I believe, for the season to qualify. Yeah. And he just had really consistent output in the ring. Nothing really bad. I mean, the King of the Ring match with Kama is probably his lowest, but even that's like, okay. He's got the Jarrett match. He's got the Ramon ladder match, a triple header, the wild card boot match. Then he's got the Rumble. He's got the Owen and then this. So he's just very consistent in the ring. So he is our Silver Slugger.
Yep.
All right. Let's get to our next award. The Vin Scully, best announcer. Kind of a tough choice, and believe it or not, this is actually the first win for Vince McMahon. It's really him and Lawler the whole season. You get a little bit of Doc sprinkled in. And I did debate Doc because he was pretty good, but he only did like 2.5 shows. Whereas Vince is on every show. He's driving the major storylines. This is the era of him. Like he does stuff a lot in 93 and what really 94 to 97 is like the Vince show. Like this is when he's your dominant guy. And he really, especially at Mania, was very, very strong.
Yeah, you can tell he's, commentating like his bank account depends on it. He's just hitting all the high points, directing traffic, getting across the stories he wants to get across and the stories he wants to get across. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but this season it worked out for better.
All right, next we have our Mendoza Award for the worst in-ring competitor, and that was King Mabel with a 1.41 match average. And he had a decent push. He had a lot of big matches. Like he had the qualifier, then he had the King of the Ring matches, the SummerSlam main event, the Undertaker match, Yokozuna. Like he was in a lot of shit and just did not deliver in the ring.
Yeah, tough look from my guy Mabel. We respect King Mabel, but yeah, he's got 2 or 3 matches at King of the Ring. I think it's just 2. He gets the bye, right?
Just
2 matches.
Savio and Undertaker.
Yeah, so they're not great. Rough stretch for Mabel.
All right, next award, our LVP. This to me is a very easy choice. Ted DiBiase. Like Mabel, yes, but you could argue he was just pushed above his means and it wasn't really his fault. But DiBiase's got no excuse. Like this guy was given on a silver platter, like the main event heel manager role throughout the year, right? And you look at this era, there's always the dominant manager of the era. You got Bobby a couple of years, you got Jimmy Hart, you got Slick in 88. That's his year. Then you even get like Cornette in 93 and 94. Like, every guy has his year. 95 was really set up to be the year of the corporation of DiBiase. And it just falls completely flat. Like they probably didn't bank on Sid, like completely shitting the bed like he did. That didn't help. The 1, 2, 3 kid, kind of flames out. You get the Austin kind of tries to salvage it late, but they waste 3 months with the stupid ringmaster. You get Santa Claus, you get the corpse of Tatanka hanging around. Like it's just, Bundy early in the season. So this is not good, man. Like they waste a lot of time on this fucking guy. The chain ongoing nonstop throughout the fucking season. Kama, doesn't really deliver either. Just a lot of TV time wasted on him.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much gets an uninterrupted year of the chance to be like the top heel in the company as a manager, and the output is just bad. It's bad all around. Especially when you see DiBiase break out like the church deacon attire, it's over.
Yeah,
bad look.
Yeah, he's toast. So we're not gonna see the end of him because the season's done, but he's wrapped up in the next 6 weeks or so. Like he's out of here by middle of May. So, all right, next award. we have our best performance individually. We went Bret Hart in Your House 5. I think there's a few different options in this season. I think Sean and Bret both in the Iron Man, were options. Bret and Diesel both at Survivor Series 95 could have been options. Razor at SummerSlam 95 is great. So I think there's even Jarrett at In Your House 2,
Yep.
like with the singing in the match. But Bret at In Your House is like just right before he checks out, like is a classic carry. Like, I mean, I went 4 3/4, or I forgot the hell I went 5. The blade job, carrying Bulldog to this match 2 months after Bulldog had a shit fest with Diesel was just like an all-time him performance from Bret. It's in this rinky-dink, Hershey Arena on a forgotten December pay-per-view, and he just goes out and delivers a baller performance. So to me, it's just a classic, and I think it's an overlooked Bret performance for how good he is in the match.
Yeah, it's a true, get on my back performance. The show, the In Your House shows like kind of whatever, but he makes something out of it. It's a show that, you mentioned, In Your House 5, Hershey Park, that's the Bret Bulldog match. And for a lot of people, it's better than the SummerSlam match, which is saying a lot, I think. So yeah, great performance by Bret. My runner-up would go to Jeff Jarrett, In Your House 2.
Yeah.
With the performance, the promo, and the match. Just an incredible night for Jarrett. So I felt like he needed some special shout out there.
For sure. Not for Isaac Yankum, not Yankum. All right, next award. We have the Rookie of the Year. This has to be a competitor that did not wrestle on pay-per-view prior to this season, and that is Goldust.
Which I guess we're foregoing, obviously, the 91 stint as Dustin. Yeah, this is completely different.
Match. Yeah, he's got one pay-per-view match. And this is a completely different character. There's some different options, but like Vader and Austin didn't really have enough in our minds to like really, be a bellwether of the season. Goldust shows up just early enough to like eat half the year up. It isn't much going on in the ring, but they're all memorable. Like first 2 matches, he gets big wins. Then he's in the crowd stalking Ramon, wins the IC belt at the Rumble, fondling the tech guy in Your House 6, and then the backlot brawl here. So I mean, he's got a pretty big half a year. So I don't think this one's particularly close either. And it's a season with a lot of debuts. Helmsley also debuted in there. So there's some competition, but Fatu making a difference.
Yeah, you would have hoped
big debut.
I think you would have hoped for like Candido, but like I mean, he's immediately stripped down pretty quickly. Hakushi,
Hakushi,
Douglas, but yeah, everybody just kind of peters out. Goldust is the only one who maintains his stock and raises his stock as the season goes on.
Yankum, not Yankum.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, most main events. So these are our counting stats. Most main events was Diesel. Not a surprise. He's the world champion through most of the season. Next counting stat, we have our most matches won. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels each won 7 apiece. Shawn's pretty impressive because he did it while missing shows and not having multi-match shows. Like Bret, had a couple multi-match shows and really I think he's only like 1 that he's not on in that whole stretch In Your House. 2 and 4, I think, is the only 2 he misses. So, so both had a lot of matches and a lot of wins. It's funny because you always think of Bret as, he got so wasted in 95, but like he is on pay-per-view constantly and wins a bunch of matches. So, all right, next one, most title matches. Obviously Diesel as well. He's in the main event pretty much of every show. Most matches lost. Tough season for Razor Ramon, and I think that's how it's remembered. Like he kind of falls apart down the stretch. Loses the IC belts, loses some tag matches, loses the SummerSlam ladder match. He definitely falls apart late in the run here.
Yeah, 7 pay-per-view losses is quite a bit.
That's a lot out of 12 shows, whatever it is. That's a good amount.
Yeah.
And he's not even at King of the Ring or WrestleMania. So, I mean, that's 7 out of 10 or whatever. All right, next we have the best crowd. Marcus, we chose Landover. Survivor Series, they're red hot for that whole show. They're really into everything. They pop big for all the big spots and big moments. Perfect. He gets that big ovation when he comes back. They're really engaged. The Dark Side match, remember, they're like fucking crazy for Undertaker. So there's some other good ones mixed in. They ran a lot of smaller arenas for the inner houses, which kind of hurt. We did consider Philly just because they're so fucking insane throughout that show, but Landover felt like consistently the best.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. They really show up for that Survivor Series and help make it a great show.
Yep. All right. What else we got here? We have our all-star team. So it's our top 5 performers of the year. We gave a nod to Razor, even though he has those losses. Like, he's still really good in a lot. He's got the SummerSlam match, the Goldust stuff. Diesel, he's maligned for this run, but there's a lot of good in there, and the back end is so good. Like, I think when you look at his 95 as a whole, he wouldn't probably make this. But when you factor in the coda of those first 3 months of 96, like, he's just fantastic as a character with all that stuff. So he's worthy. Brett and Sean, we talked about, obviously, and then Goldust, our rookie, a very big presence. I think that covers the big hitters. I think everyone else just didn't have enough volume to really qualify on the list. Like, some of the big guys come in late or disappear quick.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you get a guy like Owen who had plenty of chances and just didn't live up to the potential there in the matches that he had.
And Bulldog, too. All right. And our all loser team, of course, Ted DiBiase leading the way, our LVP. Psycho Sid, was given the year on a platter and just sucked the life out of everything. King Mabel, we talked about him, just a bad showing. Poor Bam Bam Bigelow, kills me to put him on here, but he really just gets jobbed out after Mania. The promises of main event stardom after losing to LT just vanish as he crosses the click. It looks like Diesel's little buddy for a couple months, and then before you know it, he's losing to Henry Godwin and Bulldog, and jobs out to Goldust in a boring match as Survivor Series and vanishes. So just victim of circumstance more than his fault, but he also falls off too. And then Skip, brought in with some fanfare, immediately overshadowed by Sonny. And they get this funny idea to have Barry Horowitz win, and it ends up completely tanking his run because he gets tied into being the guy that Barry Horowitz keeps beating. He rebounds a little bit late with the Body Donnas and winning the tag belts, but this is a guy that they really needed a workhorse. Like, just bring him in as Candido and let him fucking work. And this whole run is much different, but he gets a silly gimmick, a silly name, and then jobbed out immediately.
Yeah. Can you imagine if they put Candido with Cornette and he also has Sonny and just how different his presentation is just with that small change, and he's the third for like Owen and Bulldog.
Yeah,
completely different.
Aaron and I rebooked this whole year, this whole season, and like we use him much differently, him and Dean Douglas much differently, in a way that was realistic that they could have done. So, all right, that does it for our awards, Marcus. That puts an official bow on 1995, 1996 as a season. There was 12 shows. Total WAR points of 235.25. That gives an average WAR score of 19.6, which isn't bad. And that finishes 8th all-time out of 16 seasons. So I think it over-delivered. Like, you think of this season, you think of some bad 95 stuff, but a few shows really over-deliver and carry it. Some of those In Your Houses did okay. And it finishes right dead smack in the middle. Our top season to date is 1990, 1991. And our worst season is 85, 86. So there you go. And if you want to check out the rest of these seasons, you can dig into the archives on both YouTube and our Podbean site, North South Connection. Go back and listen to the other seasons we've done. Like I said, we've done 16 of them. And in 2 weeks, we're going to start a brand new one, buddy. Our 17th season. We'll keep it a mystery for a couple weeks. You'll see what it is. We're going to head forward. I will tease that. We're not going backward. We're going to head forward. We'll see how far we go ahead into the future. Any final words on the season before we wrap up?
That's enough for me, dog. Great season. A lot of fun.
It was fun to relive that era. Yeah. Some good stuff in there to talk about. Some bad stuff, of course. We did have an all-time bad at King Ring 95. So it wasn't all roses for this season. But all right. Checking everything here at the North South Connection. WrestleMania season is upon us. Enjoy it. I want to thank you for checking us out. Live your life above replacement level. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks. That's a wrap from California.